Dear students, please pause the video and try this question. Please test your skills before we reveal the answer. We have to find how many pairs are correctly matched. Celebratory gunfire. It is said that it is mentioned in Arms Act. So there is a coherence from the perspective of a beginner aspirant. So this might be true. So D goes. Knowingly misleading police or military officer in their duties. Indian Evidence Act 1872. So a beginner student might think that since it is related to evidence collection, misleading police or military officer might be mentioned in Indian Evidence Act. Might think this is also true. Then Official Secret Act, unauthorized wearing of police or military uniform. In a beginner student's mind, on seeing Official Secrets Act, might think about only official documents. Okay, and think that this might be wrong and mark B correct. So in that case, a beginner student will also get 2 mark even through the wrong way. So that is one advantage of only one, only two, all three pair questions. Even if you don't know the answer, we have a good chance to reach it. Okay. Now, this is one scenario that can arise in exam hall. Now, in case of another student who is more aware about these acts, in that perspective, on seeing celebratory gunfire, Arms Act, completely in coherence with each other. But a doubt can arise whether Amendment Act 2019 is true. One thing we have to understand, the emphasis of this question is more about the match, whether the match is correct, okay, whether this is matched here, and so on. That is the emphasis of this question. We cannot say next year UPSC will not change this act and amendment act and give, but the language of this question is more emphasizing on the match between two sides, and also Evidence Act, Official Secrets Act, all are given correct. So very less chance for this to be wrong. This amendment act to be wrong. Also, most of you will be aware that celebratory gunfire was a major issue in the recent past. So there is every chance that this amendment act might include celebratory gunfire also. So the probability will be more for this to be true. Coherence between words and also due to the awareness that this issue was there in the recent past. So this will go wrong. Now on reading second one, knowingly misleading or interfering with the police or military officer engaged in their duties. Interfering in duties of military and police officer is a very broad area. But the act is Indian Evidence Act. That raises a suspicion. Indian Evidence Act is related to evidence collection. But here, interfering in police and military officer duties are engaged. So it's a coherence, lack of coherence is there between these two. So that raises first suspicion. Second is police. We generally know that police is concerned with the law and order under state list, and they are more involved into evidence collection. So that also can raise a suspicion in exam hall. Even though the facts may not be right, suspicion can rise in exam hall. Facts we will see. Third suspicion can arise because police officer or military officer, police or military uniform, have seen. It seems that these two belong to one act rather than two acts, because there is a similarity in the use of these words. Okay, that raises the third suspicion about whether this is correct. And since we have three suspicions, better to go with the wrong. So this will go. Now, unauthorized wearing of police or military uniform. Even though Official Secrets Act, in our mind, documents come first. When we interpret act, we must respect the wisdom of Parliament, the lawmakers. When Parliament makes a law, Parliament tries to cover all the loopholes in the act. And just remember any movie where the villains disguise as police or military officer to access the official documents from any prohibited place. Then, when Parliament make a law on official secrets or official documents, won't unauthorized wearing of police and military uniform be included in it? That is the thing. That is what happened here. Okay. So B becomes the answer. And knowingly misleading or interfering with the duty of police or military officer engaged in duties in relation to prohibited place is mentioned in Official Secrets Act. UPSC did not mention this prohibited place here. Okay. That is why this statement became more confusing. In fact, our earlier intuition that is police or military, the same language used, that suspicion was actually correct. Both were belonging to this. Okay. Now, for your knowledge, a fact that Indian Evidence Act applies to all judicial proceedings in or before any court, including court martials, okay, other than court martials convened under Army Act. So, except that, even court martials are covered under earlier Indian Evidence Act. Okay, this is a fact. So, in exam hall, you would have surely felt this to be true. That makes this wrong. Then if you are confused between 1 and 2, you are left with 3 choices. Okay, so art of living in that situation, or if you are able to apply any of the inductions based on reasoning, rational reasoning, which we have discussed above, you can take. If you are reaching 50-50, you can take a chance. Okay, please share your thought process also in the comments about how you approach this question. It might help someone else preparing. Now, coming to the theory part, in Official Secrets Act, we have already discussed unauthorized use of uniforms are mentioned. Okay, to gain admission to prohibited place, as how we see in movies. Then interfering with the police or armed force to mislead or interfere in their duty in relation to prohibited place. Okay, so it's a very specific thing, and it is mentioned in Official Secrets Act. Now, what celebratory gunfire was also mentioned in Arms Act. Okay, now we'll see bit in detail for future prelims exams. Official Secrets Act, yes, it is to prevent unauthorized access to official information. It protects official secrets. So it prohibits handling, sharing, possessing any secret thing, okay, by unauthorized persons. It includes both civil and military secrets. Okay. So espionage and spying is prohibited under Official Secrets Act. Very, very important. So entering or inspecting prohibited areas or assisting any foreign power is punishable offense. Then unauthorized wearing of uniforms, you already seen. Entering prohibited areas and doing photography is also prohibited. Then misleading, we have already seen. Then journalist and media publishing secret information can also be prosecuted. So this creates a conflict between OSA, Official Secrets Act, and RT Act. This was the case of the Hindu, which exposed some irregularities in Rafale deal. At that time, government had threatened Official Secrets Act against Hindu, and that's why it was in news. It was asked in prelims and mains. Okay. So punishment, imprisonment up to 14 years or both. And prosecution under this act generally requires government sanction. Now, Arms Act, so it replaced Arms Act of 1878. So it is to consolidate laws relating to arms and ammunition in India. It provides for license requirement to possess arms and ammunition. It talks about certain prohibited arms and ammunition like automatic or semi-automatic weapons, firearms that discharge noxious substances, firearms with silencers, and so on. So manufacturing, sale, transfer, possession, or dealing with it is banned. Then carrying arms in public without license is also punishable. Now, manufacture and sale are import, export, all are regulated under this act. Then arms for defense forces and police, they have to use it as per government regulation. Then arms must be surrendered during election, disturbances, or upon revocation of license. In Malayalam movie Kishkinda Kandam, you would have seen about surrendering arms in election. Then license validity for arms is 5 years, and then it has to be renewed. Then online trading of arms and ammunition via e-commerce is prohibited. Then Arms Act amendment reduced licensed firearms held by a person to just 2. Earlier it was 3. Then license validity increased to 5 years. Earlier it was 3. Then for sports persons, they were allowed more number and types of weapons for practice. Because shooting, India is a major player. And heritage or heirloom weapons can be retained if it is in deactivated state. Then in Amendment Act, these many offenses were mentioned and punishments were slightly changed. So celebratory gunfire was mentioned. Punishments less chance to come in prelims, but the offense name can come, like how it was asked in this question. Then dealing in prohibited firearms without a license, punishable. Forcefully taking firearm from police or armed force, punishable. Organized crime syndicate possessing unlicensed firearm, punishable. Illicit trafficking of firearm or ammunition across border, punishable. Then prohibited arms use resulting in death. It can also lead to death penalty. So just keep it in your mind that these many offenses are there. No need to mug up. This can be logically ruled out. If it comes in option, we can understand that logically these would be there in this Arms Act. Okay. Then Indian Evidence Act was drafted by James Stephen during colonial period, but it was outdated, and that's why new law came. Outdated because new technologies came, electronic evidences came, modern government practices came, and cyber crime also rose. So as a result, they brought Bharatiya Sakshya Adhiyam. Okay, so it continued certain principles of Indian Evidence Act. Okay, what are those principles? Relevance and admissibility rules about what evidence is relevant and admissible in court. These are retained. And burden of proof. One who asserts must prove. That is a legal principle that was retained, but there are certain exceptions, like the burden of proof is on the accused in dowry case, narcotics case. Okay. Now, about oral evidence, that is witnesses, and document evidence, it is written or recorded documents, both are valid. Then certain legal presumptions, they are also maintained. There are certain things which law assume to be true, like legitimacy of a child born out of a wedlock. It is taken as true, presumed to be true, unless otherwise it is proved. That is why it is called a rebuttable presumptions. And also it talks about conclusive evidence, that is so conclusive, the evidence is so conclusive that there is no proof to the contrary is allowed. For example, take the case of DNA test is positive. It is a conclusive evidence, right? So no proof to the contrary is allowed. Now, cross-examination rules remain, like cross-examining the witness. We have seen in movies. That also remains. And impeaching credibility of a witness. Okay, if a witness is a thief, the other side will try to impeach the credibility of witness. And hostile witness provisions, testing truthfulness of the witnesses. All these principles are carried forward. But certain new things are introduced in Bharatiya Sakshya Adhiyam, that is digital and electronic evidence. Very, very important. It can be treated as primary evidence, like email, server log, messages, location data, voicemail, cloud data, etc. They all can be presented as primary evidence. Its validity will be checked using hash values. Okay. And in prescribed format, the validity will be checked. Okay. Otherwise, it can be presented as primary evidence. Now, electronic records like digital certificates, they are treated on par with the traditional documents. And DNA forensic expert evidences, they are also strengthened. Okay, like DNA profiles, fingerprint, biometric data, all these are admissible, and more weightage is given to these scientific evidences under new law. Then video, CCTV footage, drone recording, audio clips, they are also admissible with a proper certification. Then provisions for witness protection and handling hostile witness are also included. So thanks for watching. If this helped, please give it a like and subscribe for more.